The bullet meant for Lily Whitmore struck Emma Brooks because the quiet waitress stepped between a child and death before anyone else in the restaurant understood there was danger. Daniel Whitmore caught his daughter against his chest as Emma fell beside their table, one hand still gripping the edge of Lily's chair as if refusing to let the world take her. For one suspended second, the billionaire who could move markets with a phone call could not move at all. Emma looked past him, found Lily's terrified eyes, and whispered, "Stay down, sweetheart." Then the room disappeared beneath shouting, overturned chairs, and the sharp white glare of emergency lights. 3 Tuesdays earlier, Lily sat at the same corner table folding her linen napkin into a crooked swan while Daniel answered a call he had promised not to take. Emma approached with 2 menus, noticed the child flatten one wing, and quietly set the menus aside. She folded the other wing once, then twice, repairing the little bird without taking it from Lily's hands. "My mom taught me," Lily said. Emma's fingers stopped against the cloth. Only for a breath. Then she smoothed the swan's neck and returned it. "She taught you well." Daniel ended his call at the change in his daughter's voice. He had heard something rare in it, not happiness exactly, but the beginning of trust. His gaze moved from Lily to Emma, assessing the waitress with the same cold precision he used in boardrooms. Emma lowered her eyes first, but not from fear. She had noticed the empty chair across from him. She had also noticed he had asked the staff not to remove the third-place setting. "We only need 2, Daniel said. Emma reached for the unused glass. Lily covered its base with her small hand. "Leave it." Daniel's jaw tightened. Emma waited. The restaurant hummed around them, silver against porcelain, rain brushing the tall windows, strangers laughing too loudly beneath amber light. Then Daniel gave one restrained nod. Emma left the glass where it was. That choice cost her less than a minute and something she did not let reach her face. At the service station, she opened her palm. A faint crescent marked the skin where her nails had pressed too hard. She closed her hand before anyone could see. When she returned, Lily had placed the napkin swan beside the empty setting. Daniel watched Emma notice it. Gratitude softened him for half a second, suspicion replaced it almost immediately. "Have we met?" he asked. Emma set down his coffee with exact care. "No, sir." It was true in the narrowest possible way. Lily tilted her head. "You look sad when you see the bird." Emma almost corrected her. Instead, she adjusted the handle of Lily's cocoa cup so the child could reach it without crossing the hot plate. Sometimes people can miss something they never got to keep. Daniel's hand stilled beside his watch. Before he could ask what she meant, the manager called Emma away to cover another section. She obeyed, but when a senior waiter reached for the swan to clear the table, Emma crossed the room and stopped him with one quiet word. "Leave it." The waiter frowned. Daniel heard her. So did Lily. By closing time, Emma had lost $40 in tips after trading away her best section to the server assigned to the Whitmores' Tuesday table. She signed the change sheet anyway. From that night forward, whenever Daniel and Lily returned, Emma Brooks would serve them herself. By the 4th Tuesday, Daniel stopped opening his phone when Emma approached the table. It was a small decision, almost invisible, but Lily noticed. She pushed the linen napkin toward Emma before the waitress had set down the menus. "It keeps leaning." Emma studied the crooked swan, then looked at Daniel. He gave a quiet nod. Only then did she touch it. She repaired one wing and left the other imperfect. "Now it looks real," she said. Lily smiled, but Daniel watched Emma's hands. She had folded the cloth without looking down, while her eyes moved once toward the front entrance, once toward the mirrored wall, and once toward a man standing too long beside the coat check. "Do you always watch the room like that?" he asked. Emma placed Lily's cocoa beyond the edge of the table. "I watch what can spill." Daniel glanced at the untouched water near his daughter's elbow. "That is not what I asked. It is what I can answer." Her restraint irritated him, but it also kept him from dismissing her. When the manager appeared and reminded Emma that the private dining room needed attention, she chose to finish Lily's order first. The delay cost her the evening's largest table. The manager's smile remained fixed while his voice hardened. Some guests matter more than others. Emma lifted the empty third glass before he could remove it himself. Not to the people sitting with them. Daniel heard every word. He could have intervened. A sentence from him would have ended the matter. Instead, he waited, unwilling to turn Emma's dignity into something purchased by his influence. She accepted the reprimand without lowering her head, then returned with Lily's soup and quietly moved the bowl to the cooler side of the table. "You knew it was too hot," Daniel said. Emma touched the porcelain with 2 fingers. "I checked. Before bringing it out. Before letting her reach for it." Lily began telling Emma about a school presentation she did not want to give. Daniel corrected her twice, offering sharper words and stronger posture. Each time, Lily's voice grew smaller. Emma remained beside the table longer than service required. When Lily finally stopped speaking, Emma placed the folded swan beside her plate and turned it so the imperfect wing faced forward. "You do not have to sound fearless," she said. "You only have to finish the sentence." Daniel's expression changed. "She needs confidence. She needs room." The words were quiet, but they crossed the table like a boundary. For a moment, Daniel looked at Emma as though she had forgotten who he was. Then Lily tried again. Her voice shook through the first sentence and steadied by the last. Daniel did not correct her. Emma stepped away before he could thank her. Later, when Lily went to wash her hands, Daniel found Emma replacing a chipped cup at the service station. "You crossed a line," he said. Emma set the damaged cup aside. "Yes." She did not defend herself. That unsettled him more than an apology would have. "And if I had complained? I would have lost the table." "You already lost the private room." Her fingers paused around the clean cup. "Then I would have lost both." Daniel looked toward the hallway where Lily had disappeared. "Why risk it?" Emma's gaze followed his. "Because she was disappearing while sitting right in front of you." The answer landed without cruelty. Daniel's hand tightened around his watch, then loosened. When Lily returned, he pulled out the chair for her instead of checking the time. At the end of dinner, he signed the receipt, left no extravagant tip, and wrote one sentence beneath his name: "Next Tuesday, do not trade your section." Emma read it after they had gone. Beside the message, Lily had drawn a small swan with one uneven wing. Emma folded the receipt once and slipped it behind the silver pendant at her throat. Then she crossed out her request for Tuesday nights off. The next Tuesday, Daniel arrived 7 minutes late and found Emma kneeling beside Lily's chair, holding a glass of water while the child counted each breath against the folded swan. Emma did not touch her. She did not crowd her. She simply matched Lily's breathing until the girl's shoulders lowered. "I forgot my presentation," Lily said when Daniel reached the table. "You remembered enough to begin," Emma replied. Daniel looked from his daughter's pale face to the untouched cocoa, then to Emma. "What happened?" "The room got too loud," Lily said. Emma rose and gave Daniel his place without making herself important. He noticed that first. Then he noticed she had moved the candle farther away, turned Lily's chair from the crowded dining room, and asked the pianist to lower the music without stopping it. No grand gesture. Just 5 small corrections no one else had considered. "You should have called me," Daniel said. Emma folded her hands behind her apron. "She asked me not to." His expression cooled. "She is 9. And frightened," Emma said. "Those are not the same thing." Lily reached for Daniel's sleeve before the silence hardened. She stayed. The accusation disappeared from his face, but not the concern. He sat beside his daughter instead of across from her. Emma brought soup, checked the temperature, and left before gratitude could become dependence. That should have ended it. It did not. Halfway through dinner, Daniel's phone lit 3 times with the same number. He turned it face down. Lily watched him do it, and Emma watched Lily. "You can answer," the child said. "I do not have to." Daniel's voice was steady, but his hand remained on the phone. Emma placed the check presenter near him without opening it. "Some calls keep ringing after they stop," she said. Daniel looked up sharply. The silver pendant at her throat had slipped free of her collar. Behind it, barely visible, was the folded receipt with Lily's uneven swan. Emma covered it at once. The movement was too quick to be casual. Daniel saw it anyway. "You kept that?" he asked. Emma adjusted the chain. "Your daughter drew it." "That is not an answer. It is the only one I have." His curiosity deepened, but so did his caution. A woman who noticed everything and explained nothing did not fit anywhere in his ordered life. Then Lily knocked her spoon to the floor. Emma caught the bowl before it tipped, but the sudden sound made her flinch after the danger had passed, not before. Her fingers locked around the porcelain. For 1 second, discipline failed her. Daniel saw the breath she did not release. Emma set the bowl down carefully and stepped back. "I am sorry." "For catching it?" he asked. She looked at him, surprised by the gentleness. "For making her notice." Lily had already unfolded the swan and was repairing its bent wing. "It is okay," she said. "Real things get crooked." Emma's eyes dropped to the child's hands. Daniel did not miss the small surrender in her face. He also did not miss the man near the bar who had asked the host twice which nights the Whitmores usually came. Daniel's security chief had mentioned nothing unusual, but Emma had already repositioned herself between that man and Lily without appearing to move at all. When the stranger finally left, Emma relaxed only enough to refill Daniel's coffee. "Did you know him?" Daniel asked. "No." "Then why were you watching him?" "Because he was watching your daughter." The room seemed to narrow around them. Daniel looked toward the empty doorway, then back at Emma. Respect arrived first. Suspicion followed. "Next Tuesday," he said, "you sit with us for 5 minutes before your shift." Emma's face closed. "I work here. And I need to know what you see before I decide whether to trust it." Lily placed the repaired swan beside the empty third glass. Emma looked at the child, then at Daniel. Accepting would cost her distance. Refusing might cost them warning. 5 minutes, she said. Daniel nodded, but as Emma walked away, he sent one message to his security chief: "Find out everything you can about Emma Brooks before next Tuesday." Emma arrived 10 minutes before her shift and found Daniel waiting at the corner table without Lily. The third glass was gone. The folded swan remained. 5 minutes, Emma said, taking the empty chair only after he gestured toward it. Daniel slid a photograph across the table. It showed the man from the bar entering the restaurant 3 nights earlier, then leaving through the service corridor. "My security team found no criminal record, no connection to my company, and no reason he should know our schedule." Emma studied the image without touching it. "Then they searched for who he is instead of what he wanted." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "And what did he want?" "To see who notices him." The answer did not impress him. It unsettled him. He turned the photograph over. On the back were arrival times, camera angles, and notes from 3 security professionals. Emma read them once. "Your people watched the doors. That is their job." He watched Lily. Daniel's hand closed around his coffee cup. It was the first time Emma had seen control leave him without anger replacing it. He glanced toward the entrance although his daughter was still 20 minutes away. "What would you change?" he asked. It was not trust. It was a test placed carefully between them. Emma looked toward the mirrored wall, the kitchen passage, and the rain-dark windows. Move her chair. My team chose that table because it has the fewest approach points. It also puts her reflection in the glass. Anyone outside can see when she arrives, when she stands, and who sits beside her. Daniel followed her gaze. His face remained still, but he moved Lily's chair himself. That small act altered something neither of them named. Anything else? Stop bringing her on the same night. His expression hardened. Tuesday matters to her. Emma's fingers brushed the silver pendant beneath her collar. Routine can comfort a child. She looked at the folded swan. It can also make her easy to find. Daniel did not answer. When Lily entered with her driver, she ran toward the table, then stopped at the changed chair. That is not my seat. Daniel pulled it out for her. It is tonight. Lily looked at Emma. Emma could have explained. Instead, she placed the swan beside the new setting. Real things can sit somewhere different and still belong. Lily considered this, then climbed into the chair. Daniel's gratitude showed only in the way he waited until Emma stepped away before checking his phone. The reward lasted less than a minute. 3 men entered separately and were seated at different tables, each dressed for the room, each carrying nothing that should have drawn attention. Emma noticed the first man refused the menu without reading it. The second chose a chair facing the kitchen. The third checked the mirrored wall before looking at Lily. None of them looked at Daniel. Emma's tray tilted by half an inch. A glass trembled against its rim. She steadied it, but Daniel saw the delay. Do you know them? He asked when she reached the table. No, then tell security. Not yet. Suspicion returned to his face. You asked me to trust what you see. I asked you to let me decide whether to trust it. Emma looked at Lily, who was repairing the swan's uneven wing. One of the men touched 2 fingers to his cuff. Another shifted his chair. A third glanced toward the service exit. The movements were ordinary alone. Together, they formed a sentence Emma did not want to read. Her manager called from across the room, reminding her that the private party upstairs had requested her by name. It was the section she had lost before, the money she could not afford to lose again. Emma looked at the stairs, then at Lily. Leaving would preserve her job. Staying would place her inside Daniel's fear and make retreat impossible. She removed the order pad from her apron and handed it to another server. Take upstairs. The manager stared at her. Emma, this is your final warning. Daniel began to rise. Emma stopped him with one quiet look. If he used his power now, the choice would no longer be hers. Please stay seated, she said. Both of you. Then she moved Lily's chair 6 inches closer to Daniel, placed herself between the child and the mirrored wall, and made the decision that changed everything. For the rest of tonight, she told him, your daughter is my responsibility. Emma did not look at the 3 men again. She looked at Lily. The child had stopped repairing the swan and was watching Daniel's face, waiting to learn whether fear meant leaving, hiding, or pretending nothing was wrong. Daniel reached for his phone. Emma covered it with her hand. Not yet. His eyes hardened. My daughter is at risk. And the fastest way to confirm that is to make them react. Daniel glanced toward the nearest man. You expect me to sit here? I expect you to keep her calm. The request struck deeper than an order. Daniel had spent years believing protection meant controlling every variable. Emma was asking him to surrender control at the exact moment it mattered most. Lily slipped her hand into his. He turned his phone face down. What do you need? Emma removed the folded swan from the table and placed it in Lily's palm. Finish the wing for me. Lily nodded, concentrating on the cloth while Emma stepped away as if returning to service. She carried an empty tray past the bar, adjusted a chair near the kitchen passage, and asked a busboy to clear the mirrored wall. Each action looked ordinary. Together, they narrowed the men's view of Lily and opened a path to the service exit. Daniel watched without understanding every choice. For the first time, that did not make him dismiss them. It made him trust the person making them. The first man signaled with 2 fingers against his cuff. The second reached beneath the table. Emma moved before Daniel could rise, spilling a pitcher of water across the aisle. Chairs scraped back. Diners complained. The interruption was clumsy enough to look accidental and precise enough to block the man's line of sight. Her manager seized her arm. "You are done." Emma looked at his hand until he released her. "Then fire me after they leave." Daniel stood. "She stays." Emma turned on him immediately. "Sit down." The room went still between them. A billionaire had used his power to defend her. She had refused it to protect his daughter. Daniel understood then that Emma had never been trying to enter his world. She had been trying to keep Lily safe from the consequences of it. His expression changed, not with admiration, but with recognition. He sat. The manager backed away. That victory lasted only seconds. The third man rose and walked toward the restroom corridor, forcing Emma to choose between following him and remaining beside Lily. If she followed, she might learn his next move. If she stayed, she would lose the only chance to stop it before it began. Lily held up the swan. "I fixed it." Emma looked at the uneven wing, then at Daniel's hand resting over his daughter's. A small tremor moved through his fingers. He was not afraid for himself. He had never been afraid for himself. Emma removed the silver pendant from her neck and fastened it around Lily's wrist. The folded receipt rested beneath the chain. "Keep this until I come back." Daniel's gaze caught on the pendant. "Where are you going?" Emma looked toward the corridor. "To make sure he leaves alone." Daniel rose again. "Then I am coming with you." "No, you do not get to decide that." "Tonight, I do." The words should have angered him. Instead, he looked at Lily, at the swan, at the woman risking her job and safety without asking for gratitude. Something in him gave way. He knelt beside his daughter and stayed. Emma reached the corridor just as the third man disappeared through the service door. She followed, but outside she found no one, only rain, a black sedan pulling away, and a phone taped beneath the railing. It began to ring. Emma answered. A calm voice said, "You changed her seat. You blocked the mirror. You made yourself the problem." Emma looked through the glass at Daniel holding Lily close. "Good," she said. "Then leave the child out of it." The voice replied, "That was your last chance." The line went dead. Inside. Daniel saw Emma's face before she could hide it. She returned to the table, placed the phone in front of him, and made the realization irreversible. "They are not testing your security anymore," she said. "They are testing what you will sacrifice." Daniel looked at Lily, then at Emma. "And what will you sacrifice?" Emma touched the empty place at her throat. "I already chose." Daniel's first decision was to leave, and Emma stopped him before his hand reached Lily's coat. "Not through the front." He looked at her as though refusing movement meant refusing protection. Emma pointed toward the mirrored wall. The three men had changed positions without speaking. One now blocked the main aisle. Another stood near the service corridor. The third remained seated, watching Lily through the reflection. "They want you to choose the obvious exit," Emma said. Daniel's gaze dropped to his daughter. Lily still wore Emma's pendant around her wrist, the folded receipt tucked beneath the chain. "Then tell me the right one." Emma looked toward the kitchen, where staff moved in and out beneath swinging doors. "There is no right one now." The word stripped the room of every illusion of control. She chose the kitchen anyway. Daniel chose to trust her. That trust closed the front door behind them. Emma led Lily first, Daniel half a step behind, using her own body to block the child from the dining room's sightlines. A server nearly dropped a tray when Daniel entered the service passage, but Emma caught the edge and steadied it before the crash could announce them. "Keep walking," she said. The small kindness cost them seconds. Behind them, a chair scraped across the floor. The opposition had adjusted. Emma changed direction, taking them toward the private dining stairs instead of the rear exit. Daniel caught her arm. "You said the kitchen." "They heard me say it." His grip tightened, then released. Trust had become obedience, and he hated the feeling almost as much as he needed it. Lily whispered, "Dad." Daniel crouched despite the footsteps closing behind them. He removed his watch and placed it in her hand. "Count 10 breaths for me." It was the first time Emma saw him give up. Something symbolic without hesitation. Lily closed her fingers around the watch. Emma saw the tremor in Daniel's hand after he stood. "You stay with her," she said. "No, you asked what I would sacrifice." "Not this." Emma looked at him, and for the first time, her control fractured before the danger arrived. "Then do not make me choose twice." The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the stairs. Silence became the next move. Emma guided Lily into the private room and positioned her behind a heavy service cabinet. Daniel moved to stand beside Emma. She shook her head. "She needs to see you." "And you?" "She does not need to see me." The answer changed something in him permanently. He stepped back, not because he agreed, but because Lily reached for him. The door opened. One man entered and saw Emma alone in the center of the room. "Move," he said. Emma did not. Behind her, Daniel covered Lily's mouth before fear could call out. The man's attention shifted toward the cabinet. Emma moved first, knocking a serving cart sideways. Silverware scattered across the floor, creating noise, confusion, and one narrow path toward the secondary door. "Now," she said. Daniel pulled Lily toward it. A second man appeared in the doorway, cutting them off. The first raised his arm. Emma saw the angle before Daniel did. She could pull Lily down or push Daniel toward the exit, but not both. Father and daughter were 2 steps apart. 2 values. 1 second. Emma chose the child. She crossed the distance, drove Lily into Daniel's arms, and turned as the shot broke through the room. The impact threw her against the edge of the table. Daniel froze with Lily beneath him. Emma's hand remained on the child's shoulder. "Stay down, sweetheart," she said, though her voice barely carried. The men moved again, certain the sacrifice had opened their path. Instead, Daniel's expression changed. The man who had once measured every risk by control now measured it by what Emma had paid. He pushed Lily behind the cabinet, rose between her and the room, and made the choice that ended retreat forever. "You wanted leverage," he said. "You have me." Daniel's offer changed the room for less than a second. The man nearest the door looked at him, then at Lily, and understood exactly what Daniel had given away. Love had become leverage. "Step forward," he said. Daniel did. Behind him, Lily clutched his watch in one hand and Emma's pendant in the other. Emma lay against the table, one shoulder darkening beneath her uniform, her breath shallow but controlled. The first man moved toward Daniel. The second circled toward the cabinet. Their smartest move was not separating father from daughter. It was making each believe the other would be safer if they surrendered first. "Take me," Daniel said. "Let her go." The man smiled without warmth. "She is why you listen." Emma's fingers closed around a fallen spoon. The movement was small enough to miss. Daniel saw it. So did Lily. "Emma," he said, not as a warning, but as a plea. "Stay alive. Stay still. Do not make me lose you too." Emma met his eyes. For the first time, she did not look like someone protecting a stranger's child. She looked like someone being asked to abandon the only promise she still knew how to keep. The second man reached behind the cabinet. Lily recoiled. Daniel lunged toward her, and the first attacker struck him down with one hard shove. That was the moment their plan broke. Daniel had surrendered power to save Lily, but surrender only moved the danger closer. Emma pushed herself upright. Pain folded her once. She stopped, pressed her palm against the table, and rose anyway. The spoon slipped from her hand. She had no weapon. Only distance, timing, and the certainty that Lily had nowhere left to run. The second man seized the cabinet edge and pulled it aside. Emma crossed the room before he finished. One hand redirected his wrist. Her shoulder hit his chest. Her foot caught behind his ankle. The movements were short, disciplined, and almost silent. He struck the floor before anyone understood she had touched him. The first man turned toward her. Emma did not wait. She drove the serving cart into his path, trapped his arm against the wall, and used his momentum to force him down. No flourish. No anger. Only the kind of precision built from repeating the same survival choices until they became instinct. Daniel stared at her, not because she had won, but because she had revealed the price of every quiet gesture he had mistaken for caution. She had always known where to stand. She had always known what danger looked like. And she had spent every Tuesday pretending not to. The third man appeared in the doorway with Lily's escape route behind him. He raised his hand toward Emma, not Daniel. Their greatest advantage had become their deepest crisis. Emma had made herself the problem, and now the entire threat had shifted onto her. Daniel moved between them. "No more," he said. Emma caught his sleeve with her uninjured hand. "She needs you. So do you." The words left him before pride could stop them. Something in Emma's face broke open, then closed again. Lily stepped from behind the cabinet, crying without sound. She held out the uneven swan. "You said real things still belong." Emma looked at the child, at the pendant around her wrist, at Daniel standing where she had stood moments earlier. She could protect Lily by staying and fighting. She could protect Daniel by drawing the threat away. She could not protect both without losing the life she had hidden inside. Emma released Daniel's sleeve. "Some promises cost everything," she said. Then she turned toward the service door and ran, carrying the danger with her. The third man followed. Daniel took one step after them, but Lily's fingers closed around his hand. Emma had forced the final choice upon him: chase the woman who had saved them, or stay with the daughter she had bled to protect. Daniel froze again, not from fear this time, but because either decision would betray someone he could no longer bear to lose. Daniel chose Lily. He lifted her into his arms, carried her through the secondary door, and did not look back until two members of his security team reached them from the kitchen. "Stay with her," he ordered. Then he placed his watch back into Lily's hand and closed her fingers around it. "Count 10 breaths." Lily looked toward the service corridor. Emma said she would come back. Daniel knelt, though every second pulled at him. "Then we make sure she has somewhere to return to." He left only after Lily nodded. That choice cost him the chance to reach Emma first, but it honored the sacrifice she had made. Outside, rain had turned the loading dock silver. Emma stood beneath the security light, one hand pressed to her shoulder, facing the last man across the narrow lane. She did not run farther. She had led him away from Lily, away from the dining room, and directly beneath the camera she had noticed weeks before. The man stepped closer. Emma moved toward the fire panel instead of the open street. He anticipated escape. He did not anticipate refusal. She struck the alarm with her elbow. Steel gates dropped across both ends of the dock. The sound brought staff, cameras, and Daniel's security team toward them at once. The man turned too late. Emma had not trapped him with strength. She had trapped him with witnesses. When Daniel reached the dock, the attacker was already on the ground, restrained by his own failed exit. Emma was leaning against the wall, her control finally gone. Daniel caught her before she fell. The pendant chain was still missing from her neck. "Lily has it," he said. Emma's eyes opened at the child's name. Nothing else reached her. Not the sirens. Not the man being taken away. Only that. Daniel understood then that her promise had never been to him. At the hospital, Lily refused to surrender the pendant until a nurse asked whether it carried medical information. The clasp opened beneath her small fingers. Inside was not jewelry, but a worn federal identification plate, its lettering almost erased by years of touch. One line remained clear: Child Witness Protection Detail. Beneath it, folded smaller than the receipt, was a faded photograph of Emma in a dark protective vest beside a little girl holding a linen bird with one uneven wing. Lily stopped breathing for a moment. Daniel did not ask for an explanation. He looked through the glass at Emma lying motionless beneath white light, then at the swan in the photograph, and every Tuesday changed meaning. The chair she protected. The exits she counted. The sound that made her flinch after danger passed. The sentence she had given Lily because another child had once needed it. Real things get crooked. The federal record Daniel's security chief placed beside him contained only dates, commendations, and one final line marked closed after the death of a protected minor. Daniel turned the file face down. The truth was not that Emma had failed once. The truth was that she had built an entire quiet life around refusing to fail a child again. Lily removed Daniel's watch from her wrist and placed it beside Emma's hand. Then she laid the repaired swan over the old photograph. "She came back," Lily whispered. Daniel's control broke without sound. He took the background report his team had gathered, tore it once through the middle, and dropped it into the disposal bin. Emma had earned the right to tell her own story, or never tell it at all. When she woke, her eyes moved first to Lily, then to the empty place at her own throat. Lily fastened the pendant back around Emma's neck. "You kept your promise." Emma looked at the uneven swan resting between them. "So did your father." Daniel stepped closer, no longer standing above her, no longer asking what she could do for his world. "There will be a place for you when you leave here," he said. Emma's gaze held his. "At the restaurant?" Daniel looked at Lily, then pulled the third chair beside the hospital bed. "That is your choice." 3 months later, Daniel Whitmore returned to the corner table and left his phone inside his coat. Lily climbed into the chair that once faced the mirrored wall, then quietly moved it 6 inches closer to her father before anyone could help her. Daniel noticed. He did not correct her. The restaurant had repaired the private dining room, replaced the broken service cart, and polished away every visible sign of the night that had changed them. Only the third chair remained untouched. It stood beside the table with an empty glass before it and a folded linen napkin resting on the plate. Lily picked up the cloth. Her fingers worked slowly, folding one wing, then the other. The second leaned slightly lower. She considered fixing it, then smiled and left it crooked. A young server approached with menus and began to remove the unused glass. Daniel placed 2 fingers against its base. "Leave it." The words were gentle now. The server nodded and walked away. Lily set the swan beside the empty place. Around them, silver touched porcelain, rain moved softly against the tall windows, and strangers laughed beneath the amber lights. The same room. A different father. Daniel had cancelled the private dining reservation upstairs, dismissed the security detail stationed inside the restaurant, and asked 2 agents to wait outside where Lily would not have to watch them scan every face. Protection no longer meant making fear the largest presence in her life. When his phone vibrated inside the coat, he let it stop on its own. Lily looked toward the kitchen each time the doors opened. Daniel did not tell her to stop hoping. He simply moved his hand across the table, palm upward. She placed hers inside it. Dinner arrived without cocoa being moved, soup being tested, or a quiet voice reminding Lily to finish the sentence. Lily checked the bowl herself, then turned its handle away from the aisle so the young server would not catch it on her return. Daniel watched the gesture pass from one life into another. "It can spill," Lily said. He nodded. "You noticed." After dinner, the manager came to the table carrying a small black check presenter. He did not mention Emma's name. He placed it beside the third setting and walked away. Daniel opened it. There was no bill inside. Only the receipt Lily had drawn on months earlier, its paper softened by folding, the uneven swan still visible beneath Daniel's old message, "Next Tuesday, do not trade your section." On the back, in Emma's restrained handwriting, were 2 lines. "The children we protect never know all we gave up. They only learn what to protect next." Lily read the words once. Then she removed Daniel's watch from his wrist. He did not resist. She placed it beside the empty glass, where Emma's pendant had once rested against her small hand. "Do you think she is coming back?" Lily asked. Daniel looked toward the service station, the corridor beyond it, and the door through which Emma had carried danger away from them. The hospital had discharged her weeks earlier. She had accepted no job, no money, and no promise she had not chosen for herself. Daniel had honored that. It was the hardest form of gratitude he had ever learned. "I think," he said, "she gets to decide." Lily absorbed the answer without disappointment. She folded the receipt around the linen swan and placed both beneath the empty glass, not as a message asking Emma to return, but as proof that someone would remember if she did not. When they stood to leave, the young server dropped a stack of menus near the host stand. Daniel stopped. The old version of him would have continued walking while someone else handled the disruption. Instead, he crouched and gathered the menus. Lily helped without being asked. Outside, the rain had softened to mist. Daniel opened the umbrella but did not hurry her beneath it. Lily turned back toward the window. Through the glass, the third chair appeared empty beneath the amber light. Then the kitchen door moved. A woman in a dark coat stepped into the dining room and paused beside the corner table. Her shoulder remained slightly stiff. The silver pendant rested at her throat. She touched the folded receipt, saw the uneven swan beneath the glass, and closed her eyes for one quiet breath. Daniel did not call her name. Lily did not run back inside. Father and daughter simply waited beneath the umbrella, leaving the choice where it belonged. Emma lifted her gaze through the rain-dark window. Lily raised one hand. Emma raised hers in return. Between them, the empty chair no longer looked like an absence. It looked like a place kept open by people who had finally learned that love could protect without holding on.